There was not a single piece of air. Here's another conspiracy. Pooped my pants. You guys, it's exhausting. Aren't you exhausted?
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Aren't You Exhausted, the podcast. I'm your host, Ashley, and joining me tonight is the husband Chantal wishes she had, my forever partner, Liam.
Yeah, well, that goes for her, but it does not go for me. I do not wish I was her husband, so.
So, we've had a rather long week. We mistakenly decided to do some spring cleaning and rearranging last weekend, and I feel like the house is still kind of in disorder as we try to clear things out that we don't use and have just stored, and it's just chaos. Anyhow, how's your work been, babe?
My week work?
Your work week.
Good, yeah. Just getting over being sick, so that's always fun. But on the mend and ready for another week of work and some more
Happy
cleaning.
Father's Day.
Thank you.
Happy Father's Day to the fathers out there as well. Tonight we are going to be discussing Amber's newest vlogs, her weight gain, therapy talks, P.O. box openings, giving herself another little pep talk to get her through to that 8 to 10 minute mark so she can place ads. But first we're going to dip into Foodie Beauty, kind of an update of sorts. You'll kind of notice that I haven't covered Foodie. I didn't cover her last week, and I've kind of taken a break from covering Chantal. And the main reason for that is, nothing's really going on. She's just eating on camera, and yes, she eats obnoxiously and eats way too much fast food, but nothing really is happening.
It seems to be that when one is going down the boring road, something else happens for another one.
Yeah.
It's like give or take with the two of them, so.
And then Chantal's been doing like these really bizarre skits, crudely impersonating her arch nemesis and adding some like childlike artwork alongside it. But nothing's really happening. I guess here recently she did state she was on a health journey and is trying to lose weight once again. We had a 24-hour water fast. It was supposed to be 40 days worth, but apparently a health
So 40
concern.
days of not eating anything, just drinking water?
Yeah. I don't see how she thought she was going to do that anyhow.
That doesn't seem healthy anyway, right?
Some people do it for health reasons and for
I guess, but
religious reasons.
Aren't these people mostly like prepared for this? Not
yeah,
just
it's something that you gradually work up to.
Yeah.
Like they do 5 days and then 10 days.
And she made what? Maybe 23 hours?
No, she made it 6 hours.
Oh, well,
She made it 6 hours before she caved.
So she literally just said, I'm going to fast for 40 days and said, never mind. I'm just going to move on.
Well, this is what happened. She explained
I do that every day. It's called going to bed and waking up and then eating when you wake up for breakfast.
She explained it in her latest mukbang.
The irony.
The irony is not lost on that. But she explained how she's very
overweight.
Well, that among other things. Her mental health is in array, and she's very, what's the word that she likes to use? Compulsive. And compulsively commits to these things before actually thinking them through. And much like Amberlynn, people are there giving her the voice of reason behind not doing these sorts of things, like her having untreated diabetes because she claims that she's cured it through her past diet, but not eating any differently.
Well,
it's not, diabetes isn't something that you can just cure. You can basically compose yourself to a better diet that monitors it better, but you're never really cured of it.
Diabetes is not also just a fat person thing. So, it is a lifelong thing, and yes, you have a greater risk of getting it if you're overweight. But when I was in middle school, I had a kid who had diabetes, and he was just normal kid with diabetes. It's not it's not something that if you got in a better diet that there we go. But it's something that is manageable and it can be handled. But most people who get diabetes just from being overweight, The problem is not the diabetes, it's the fact that they've eaten themselves to the point in which they are now diabetic. And
Yeah.
it's like those people need to make a whole lifestyle change. And odds are, if the excessive weight gain didn't motivate them to start dieting, probably diabetes won't do it either. That's kind of the issue. But it is funny, we talked about her doing the mukbang or whatever, and she says, I'm going to go on a 40-day fast, and then people talk her out of it. But I would imagine that people didn't talk her out of being healthy. They just said, hey, you can't just not eat for 40 days. And she took that as, okay, I guess never mind. But no, you can still eat healthy. You could go on a 40-day, health thing where you don't eat fast food and you eat home cooked meals and you try to
Yeah, but she explained that she was going to the bathroom a lot, so she thinks that she urinated away a lot of her water weight that she was carrying, because from her last weigh-in to the current weigh-in, she gained 20-something pounds in a matter of a month, I want to say. So she went from 350-something to 370-something. I think it was 372.
right.
And that's what shocked her into wanting to do something, because that's a lot of weight on a 5-foot body.
Right.
And now what happened during her fasting of 6 hours, she ended up vomiting at just trying to drink water to kind of keep her hunger at bay. It was enlightening, to say the least.
Also,
while she was talking about it.
That is, to me, is the biggest warning sign that if you can't go 6 hours of just drinking water and your body is literally vomiting because you haven't eaten in 6 hours, that's a fucking problem. We have guests on the podcast. The cats.
Yeah, our cats outside the door.
Outside, inside, all over. But no, that is a serious thing, because I don't know anybody who doesn't go 6 hours without eating.
I mean,
that's called breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
It's called going to sleep.
Well, it's called going to sleep. But okay,
hours.
You eat breakfast at what? Let's say 8 o'clock in the morning, and then you eat at 12. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's 4 hours. Okay. Then 12 to 6. So that's what? 6 hours. And then you don't eat for the rest of the night.
Yeah.
So what? 6 to 8 again. That's almost 12 hours that you're not eating. You don't wake up in the morning projectile vomiting because you haven't had a fucking snack. And yeah, some people have, dessert or whatever. But for the most part, I mean, we live in a pretty snack happy family.
Yeah.
And even us, you eat dessert, you eat dinner, you eat dessert, and that's it. You're done.
Yeah.
You don't really. Every once in a while.
Well, it's also been brought up that Chantal had just went through Ramadan, and Ramadan is fasting for 12 hours a day. So how the hell did she make it through 12-hour day fast if she couldn't even make it through a 6-hour?
I mean, here's the thing. Here's what I'm going to say, and I got two things. One, I mean, it's one thing, and you can apply it to two different scenarios. She's a big fat liar. Mm-hmm. So either she didn't vomit and she got hungry and she wanted to make an excuse to make you feel bad for her, or she didn't fast for 12 hours on Ramadan. Pick and choose which one, or both. But I'm telling you right now, she has, anybody who listens to this podcast, I assume is, unless you're one of those freaks in the comment, and yes, I have no problem calling you freaks, who are defending these people. You all understand that Chantal and Amberlynn are non-stop liars. So anything they say, take with a huge grain of salt. And, Ashley is here to just, react to what they say and what their excuses are. But I think we all know the truth is we don't know the truth. They lie about absolutely everything, and every lie is going to be designed to make them look as good as possible. Even though they're idiots, because didn't even have to share the fact. If she just didn't fucking live stream her eating, she could just say she was fasting and it'd be okay. Yeah. I don't understand this a weird mentality, but it's because she knows that eating on camera gets her money. So she's oh, well, if I'm going to be eating, then I better film it because I'm going to make money off of it, which then is a whole nother fucking set of issues. Anyway, continue.
Yeah. She also happened to protest using public pools for easygoing cardio while her back's been injured because of hygiene reasons. And I found
her hygiene.
I found this absolutely fucking hilarious because this is the same woman who let herself drip dry after pissing, sharded on live stream, like absolutely shit herself on live stream multiple times, sloppily eating food that she had forgotten about outdoors overnight and then ate the next morning when she remembered that it was sitting out there. And apparently she's striving to be a cleaner, more adjusted person now.
She probably showed up to the pool and stank so fucking bad that people they asked her to leave, and she spun it that like the pool's dirty. No, the pool's fucking was probably fine until she showed up.
Yeah.
Like, imagine how bad she's got to smell just out there with the wind blowing in the heat. Like, I'm sorry. She's disgusting, and she probably stinks like fucking shit.
And I just picture every time I saw her on live stream digging away at her nose and wiping it on her desk or her clothes. And she'd really get in there too. She has no shame at all. And, you know, it just goes to show you can pick your nose and you can pick your boyfriend's nose, but you can't. I think I fucked that up.
You did. You can pick your nose, you can pick your friends, but you can't pick your friends' noses.
Yeah, you can pick your boyfriend, but you can't pick your boyfriend's nose.
Someone tells me Chantal probably can, and she just sits there and just thinks about that green card.
And then moving on to Amber, she's uploaded a couple new videos, and we weren't subjected to yet another round of live streams where she can't even keep a storyline consistent from stream to stream. Hence why Mr. Snowflake and I believe a few other reaction channels as well were calling her out on it with video proof. Baby Lynn didn't like it and took to threatening to strike larger reaction channels, one such being Apathetic Facts, that shared the fact that Amber emailed her beforehand and was threatening to strike her channel because she's not following terms of service, which I don't believe at this point Amber is following terms of service. And the fact that this isn't the first time Amber has kind of taken to this kind of pettiness for being called out with proof of things. Amber likes to say these channels kind of spin their own narrative of her word and twist her words, but frankly, FBI, they are literally just taking clips of her own content and providing the context behind the information. And it's not like they are malevolently out here piecing together a collage of clips to make her say things she didn't say. And just because she doesn't remember saying them or doesn't believe she'd say or do something like people have claimed she has, doesn't mean it didn't happen. Obviously, most of these people are showing video proof it coming from her own lips.
Yeah, I mean, we were watching, I don't know what it was. I think you were watching like a compilation. I think of the pizza one the other day. And it's like, it's something small. But it's like, that's the thing. It's these small lies that have no purpose.
It's so stupid.
That, like, the big lies, you can kind of understand. You can forgive. Like, here's the thing. I have no kind of sympathy for anybody who shares their life online and makes a job out of it and then gets upset when people interact with them on that level. And they are like, you guys are, always up in my business. It's like, well, your business, your job is to share your business with people and in essentially an open forum. Like, that's just the way, content creation is. It's a constant, giving content and receiving criticism. And if your content is your life, you're going to receive criticism of your life. But it's like lying about liking pizza. And I know that this is not like really what we're talking about, but it's kind of the idea of like, and then you've got all these things proving that she does like pizza.
Yeah.
She seems like she loves pizza from the clips that we were watching. And it's just that with everything. And it's just amazing to me that she has absolute, like, zero ability to admit that, like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. I don't know why I said it, but obviously it wasn't true.
Yeah.
It's always like, no, but if you understood what I meant on this day, it was a Saturday, and Saturdays are opposite day. It's like, it's that kind of like mentality that it's like.
Well, her mentality of it, at least from the videos that she shared, is that you can dislike something but still go to it to eat when you just want something. And it's like,
not
but
pizza.
if you're craving fucking pizza, then obviously you do not dislike pizza.
Also, by the way, pizza is not one of those things that like you dislike and you're like, well, I have to eat pizza. Because she does not go to functions. It's one thing if she was like a parent and, you know, they have pizza parties at all these like parent events.
And somebody else is providing it
right.
for her.
She is a person who doesn't leave the house and orders food delivered to her. Like, she orders food to be eaten. She does not cook. She barely fucking grocery shops. Like, bitch, you are living in the reality of you get what you want when you want it. You have no excuse for liking pizza. Like, there's no excuse in the world that's going to make me think that this was, like, you fucking tripped, fell, and landed into the fucking pizza. Like, no. You fucking bought the pizza. You ordered the pizza. You have no friends. You have no life. So, don't get me with that fucking bullshit.
And it's funny that we're talking about pizza because it's coming up in conversation here.
It's called a segue in the podcast.
But she claimed that in her newest vlog that she was very productive. She went and had some more testing done for her upcoming weight loss surgery, at least through the requirements that they want done prior to it being a thing.
Weight loss surgery, what? Attempt number 4,000?
But she did some TikTok viral trends, putting mustard on everything. I don't really follow a lot of the trends. Like, I used to watch like a lot of the dancing trends and stuff that they did.
They gotta go.
But I guess I'm just not on that part of TikTok, which is weird that somebody that's I guess it's not weird. Somebody that's addicted to food is watching food content.
Yeah, because you stop because it's all she thinks about.
But she tried hearts of palm and Brussels sprouts and then tried them with mustard on them. I mean, at this point, anything for her to just eat on camera because she knows that it gets her money.
Yeah,
by
of course.
The people that are watching her. And then she discussed her triggers, which when she's overwhelmed, when she's overwhelmed, she eats to numb her feelings. Other people's assumptions and opinions of her are a trigger. Go figure, her therapist told her to show less of her eating if it's a triggering response out of her. And then, of course, watching other people eating is a trigger for her. It triggers her to want to eat. Pizza is a trigger. Go figure.
Go fucking figure that
The girl who dislikes pizza is triggered by pizza. And when she sees pizza, she wants pizza. She also named chips and Chinese food are also triggers.
How about air?
I mean, at this fucking point, it might as well. It might as well.
I mean,
everything.
What's funny is, and I would love to, I'm sure if she truly is going to a therapist and truly being open, any smart therapist, and she's probably not going to share this, any smart therapist wouldn't tell her don't eat on camera. They would say, if all of your triggers
revolve around social media and watching things,
be related to you producing content and then having backlash for it, somebody's got to sit her down and say, what's more important, having an easy job or living?
Yeah.
Or being thin or whatever that she's trying to do. And it's just, it's amazing to me that she has a therapist who is like giving her advice of don't eat it in front of the camera. But like, I would suspect that there was already a long conversation of stop doing anything in front of the camera.
Yeah.
If it's a good therapist. If it's a bad therapist, look, it might be a therapist that knows that that's her fucking career, and when the money stops, the therapy stops. So, it's good that she has a job that allows her to get therapy, but her job is the number one trigger. I mean, the first like 3 or 4 things you mentioned before it got to like a fucking joke, honestly, because food as a trigger is a fucking joke.
Well, it's not so much with food addiction, but she's also trying to say that she doesn't have binge eating disorder, which, bitch, everything that she described in that last part explaining like why she has anxiety around sharing her food online because people speculate and make assumptions on how many calories she's eating or what she's eating and her weight gain and all this stuff. And it's like, you obviously are not eating just what you show us on camera.
Right. No.
There's no way at 520 plus pounds. I think it's like 525.
Whatever. It's
along
big.
in there. It's big.
It's a big one.
It's over 500 pounds. Let's
Right.
just say that. But there's no way at over 500 pounds you're eating a dainty bowl of rice, broccoli, and
Right.
chicken.
No, I mean,
like,
and that's and when I said, like, when I was talking about the triggers, I was more so saying, like, if you have a food addiction, whatever it is, like, I don't think you need to list out all the foods that are triggers. Any food would be a trigger.
yeah.
It's like saying an alcoholic, like, well, vodka is a trigger. Like, no, any alcohol will be a trigger as an alcoholic. That's not what we're talking about. You can't, I mean, yes, for alcoholics, you can keep away from places that have alcohol, but a food addiction is a little bit different. She obviously cannot stay away from food. It is a necessary thing. But what's really important for her to find out is what are the other things in life that are triggers, and minimize that, because she's gonna have to eat, obviously, but when she sees pizza, okay, eat pizza, fine, you see food, you're gonna eat it, but what is leading you to get in front of the food? That's really what she needs to do.
And what can you do to kind of manage those thoughts and be like, well, I really, really want pizza, but maybe if I distract myself from it by doing, a hobby other than staying in the house and building Legos around the food.
But all her hobbies are things to be filmed, put online, and then I'm sure, like, dissect every comment and let it get to her.
Yeah.
And, look, we've talked about this a million times, talked about her, obviously a million times at the point of the podcast. But, I don't see her getting better until she stops making videos. We will never see a healthy Amberlynn.
No.
Do you want to know the only way Amberlynn ever gets healthy is she stops making content, and at that point, if she truly is taken seriously, you won't see her. So those are
that's a catch-22, because it could also be because she finally fucking died.
Right, but I'm saying
complications of this disease.
You will never see her healthy, because the only way I ever see her getting healthy is by completely changing her life 100%, and that includes get a real job. And not like shitting on content creation. I'm just saying she needs to get a job that is not designed to be, that does not put her under the microscope. She cannot handle criticism.
No.
And that's okay. That's not a problem. A lot of people couldn't handle the criticism that I'm sure she sees on a day-to-day basis. I'm not calling her, I'm not saying, oh, you weak little wuss. Like, no, obviously she gets a lot of criticism, and it's things that you don't want to hear. But it's the price you pay. And if she, has an actual disorder that is killing her, because it's not, this is killing her.
Yeah.
Is it killing her? It's not like cancer where, it can be treated and you're like either in the clear or you have cancer. Like, no, it is slowly killing her. And every day that she doesn't do something about it, it gets worse. And so the only way she's going to do anything about it is by changing her lifestyle. And that's going to start.
It's actually like looking at it as if she had cancer, because even though it's food addiction, she has an obsession with food. Whether or not she's getting enough, whether she's able to enjoy the things that she wants to enjoy, she doesn't like to restrict herself because it leads to her overindulging in things from restriction. But her whole fucking basis is food. And I think her therapist is trying to get her to move away from thinking about food so often, because it seems like that's what fills the void of her time that's not spent on social media is food. But also it is what fills her void on social media, because she admitted to watching content revolving around fucking food. And it's like, you need to move away from food. I enjoy other things. I'm a big girl, but you know what? I enjoy other things besides food. Food is the last fucking thing I think about. I like drawing. I like photography. I like good films. I love horror movies. I love like makeup. Like there's other things out there that I enjoy beyond food. And the fact that Amber's whole universe revolves around food because that's all she has.
But just talking about Amberlynn in general, I mean, that's where this surgery is coming from, because she wants these instant results. And even the surgery is not going to be instant results. It's going to be a lot faster than, most
trying
things.
to do it conventionally, knowing that she has a horrible track record. But if she actually did any research on weight loss surgeries, their numbers of success are very low.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that 600-pound life, those the 2-ton sisters.
But also, they have a high rate of picking up other addictions like alcoholism, and
right.
They pretty much trade one illness for another,
and it's not fixing the problem. By the way.
And that's where I think that Amber, and I will continue shouting this until maybe it's one. Sometimes people get that like recollection of like, oh, maybe I should have done that. Maybe I should have taken that more seriously as an option, which would be inpatient treatment. Yes, it's going to be more expensive up front, but I think in the long haul, it would benefit her more than a weight loss surgery would. And she could, if she was even smart, she would pair it along with weight loss surgery, complete a full, 6-month of inpatient, drop a dramatic amount of weight, because they do everything for you. Essentially, they show you how to work out, how to create some kind of schedule, and how to retrain your body on hunger cues. Like, you only eat when you're hungry, and you allow yourself this much to eat while you're hungry. And everything is like under the eye of the doctors and nursing staff. You're essentially in the hospital.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
that's the only way that I think this would work for her, because I see her going through with this surgery, and by some grace of God, she actually gets accepted to do it, and they go forth and do this surgery. She's going to probably lose, 50, 60, maybe even 100 pounds.
Right.
But then she's going to go right back into old habits, because it doesn't fucking fix you.
Right.
Like,
well, she's actually
thinking of food all the time.
What the actual problem was going to be, and I had an analogy for this that I'll say in a minute, but like the problem is, yeah, I mean, it's going to be more harm than good, because if you're not fixing the problem, then what's going to happen is she's going to still eat the way she eats. She already eats past when she's full.
Yeah.
But now it's going to be a bigger fucking problem, because they've literally done things to her stomach that if she eats too much, she's going to get sick or an infection or whatever the fuck. So, I mean, and my analogy pretty much was, if someone cut off my arm, right, and I put on I got a prosthetic, but I didn't actually fix the arm, so I'm still bleeding out. That's kind of the problem. That's kind of the similar thing where it's like, yeah, sure, I replaced my arm, but I'm still bleeding out. And that's her. Yeah, you can fix the problem of you lost some weight, but you didn't actually fix the major problem in hand, which is your addiction to food and your problems there. And until you fix that, until you figure that shit out, almost all addictions, some of them are chemical based, but most addictions or whatever are mental. It's a mental thing.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you're crazy, but your body has a connection to these things. Like, she obviously has like a hunger for food, but her brain has the inability to, tell her, hey, you've had enough. She doesn't have that ability to tell herself she's had enough and to keep it in check. So she needs to sit down with somebody and find out why is she not able to make that connection and keep herself from overeating. So,
yeah,
I don't know. She got
problems. Essentially, Amber has no willpower. If she sees it, smells it, thinks about it, she's going to Uber the fucking food.
Yeah.
I'm sure as soon as she finished recording the most recent video, she went and raided her pantry looking for snacks, because she mentioned all of her food triggers and knows people are going to have assumptions and opinions of her triggers, and it probably overwhelmed our little poopy. Amber's a feeder's dream, and I thought about this. She's successfully gained over 200 pounds since starting her channel, showing, she shows like the body checking images in her thumbnails, kind of extenuating her weight and size, and even adding food into the mix from time to time. If people with anorexia did this, it would be removed from the platform. Yeah. The body checking and creating content revolved around losing weight when you're already a scary size. Now, if Amber was smart and she ever went full-time in the feeder arena, I'm sure she'd make vastly bigger bank than she does on YouTube. I mean, look at Hungry Fat Chick. I know you don't really know about other plus size YouTubers as much.
It's not my
but
forte.
Hungry Fat Chick is an older woman that has been known or in the circuit of like feeders. I think she did a previous like show in the past, or was on a show in the past, but she has like a little bit of a gain on Amber. I think as far as weight and on audience size, I think she's like a little over like 10 or 20,000 more than Amber has. I believe so in that arena.
Mm-hmm.
But she's getting closer and closer to retirement, I think, because of her age, and like she's just not gonna be able to fucking do it anymore. Her body's giving out. And you know, maybe it's time for Amber to claim that crown soon.
There you go. There's something positive.
Yeah.
She can be the #1 fat girl on YouTube.
Yeah. She can keep eating to her heart's content and have like these feeders swooning over her.
Well, it's funny, you know, just to go back on your point where you're talking about the anorexia thing. I mean, that's my big problem with this like fat phobia misinformation, where it's like, you know, there's this thing where it's like you can't say anything about Amber's weight because you're fat phobic.
Yeah.
But like, no, you are like grossly overweight, and you make it almost like you make not a joke out of it, but you don't treat it like what it is, which is a serious thing.
Yeah.
And you know,
I mean, it's one thing to be like out there living your life or whatever and showing people that, hey, even though you're this size and working on yourself, you can still go out and enjoy a life. But she's showing people that, hey, I make tons of money just sitting on camera, talking about my mental issues, not getting any help with them, not taking the advice of professionals, and then eating large amounts of fucking food, and you guys are paying me to do it.
Right. I mean, it's one thing if she was doing a channel about like sewing and she was showing off what she sewed and all the comments were fat bitch. That's fat phobia. It's another thing to be stuffing your face and talking about how like pizza's your trigger and you're gonna
and
get
then
weight
showing
loss
these
surgery.
thumbnails of like her full body, and she knows how big she is.
And people are like, hey, you know, you're really unhealthy, you should lose some weight. And then she's like, you're fat phobic. It's like, no. Or YouTube stepping in and saying you're promoting an unhealthy lifestyle and be like, that's fat phobia. It's like, no, it's not. Fat phobia, to me, first of all, is like this weird thing where it's like, I guess it's I don't know. But it is essentially treating somebody like crap because they're fat for no reason, right? You just look at them and say, you're fat, I don't like you.
No. It's for a reason. It's for people being afraid to be fat themselves. They don't want to see fat people because they don't want to be fat themselves. I mean, and they don't want to promote fatness because they don't want to be fat. They don't want anybody that they love being fat. That's fat phobia. They're projecting their fears and insecurities about being bigger or being in a bigger body on you.
I mean, I don't know if that's like a weird thing, like to not want to be bigger. I mean, you don't have to be like, oh my god, that would be my #1 nightmare. But of course, you look at Amberlynn. I don't think anybody's looking at Amberlynn and says, I want to look like that. No, of course not. You don't want to be like that.
I mean, unless you're bigger than her, then you probably look at her and like, I wish I was that small.
But, you know, and I think there's degrees. I think if someone has gained some weight and, you know, you're like, oh, I never want to look like that. It's like, no, there's being healthy and then there's being unhealthy. And I think that most people who cry about fat phobia are at an unhealthy weight already, where, you know, most people that like fat phobia would, I think, apply to, which is people who are, maybe a little bit overweight or like a little unhealthy, but still like, you know, active and fine, and they're getting essentially harassed because they're not supermodel skinny. You don't really hear them crying about it too much. It's people who have a reason to be called out for it, in the sense of like you're promoting being completely unhealthy. But I think, you know, it's all about what you're promoting, really. Like, and Amberlynn is promoting being unhealthy. I think if her channel was not about her weight, I think that those comments aren't really doing anybody any favors. But that's what her channel's about. So I think that those comments she's inviting those comments in.
Yeah.
You want to do a channel about, knitting or crafting and you're overweight, then yeah, it's not really nice to say mean things about somebody's weight because it has no bearing on what the content you're making. But if your content is all about food and eating and you're overweight, yeah, you kind of asked for it.
Yeah.
So.
And she ended up ending her recent vlog showing her stockpile of, I call them baby notes and art, because it's essentially like everybody who's been a fan of her over the years and catered to her victim complex. But I kind of wonder how many people who sent her nice words or art have actually turned to the dark side of her antics on social media. Because, like, in the beginning, I was a fan of hers. I supported her content because I was like, oh, well, everybody has slip-ups. But, like, this was...
No.
this was so early in her... Because I've been following her almost the entire time she's been on YouTube.
No, yeah. And like, she created the channel with what I'm sure is the best of intentions.
Yeah.
And, we're not talking about somebody who made a mistake and slipped up and, whatever. This is somebody that has proven time and time again that, like...
But not only that, like, it originally started out...
no intention of losing weight.
Yeah. It started out as weight loss, and then she started bringing personal trauma and stuff into it. And she got way too personal, and then it backfired because it turned out the shit that she was claiming was very personal and very, like, messed up shit wasn't even true.
Right.
And people have caught her in these lies that she has shared, like using the wrong words when describing things. Now, this isn't something that somebody who has graduated at the base level of high school. This isn't something somebody who graduated high school would, like, have a hard time separating the use of very controversial statements, which were the whole grape. I'm saying grape because I don't want it to get demonetized on my Spotify channel. But when she uses these terms, like, everybody, it's synonymous. You know what that means.
Right.
And she claims that she used it incorrectly. Now, how can you be an adult person and claim to have used that word that you know is synonymous? Like, high schoolers know. I mean, younger than high schoolers know what this is.
No, I mean,
for her to claim that she confused the meaning.
But we've known forever that she is always deflecting.
Yeah.
And the way she deflects is by making herself a victim. But she wants to be the victim so bad, except about being overweight.
Yeah.
That is something that, like, and it's because probably that's the one thing she truly is a victim of, being overweight. And, she can make up all these things and get these sympathies or whatever because it doesn't really apply to her. Whatever things happen to her, I don't know, demonetization or whatever she says happened to her, or she says has happened to her in the past, these are all stories that, I'm not saying they're lies, they might be a little bit of exaggerations, but she hasn't really earned the benefit of the doubt, so I'm not going to give it to her. And the only thing that we know for sure is that she is overweight, and she will never lose that weight. But she doesn't want to hear that, so she wants you to feel bad for her and forgive her, which... Here's the thing. She doesn't need forgiveness. I think, she can be as big as she wants. She can eat as much as she wants. And the only person getting hurt is herself. I truly believe that. I think that maybe new viewers to the channel, they might be a little, like, unsure of, like, what's going on. But no one's going to Amberlynn for diet tricks. No one's
I hope not at this point.
No one's going to her for weight loss, motivation. And if they are, it's not going to last very long.
You know what's always hilarious to me? That people have went to her for sex advice. And that always fucking cracks me up.
I mean, here's the thing. There might be some people out there who are huge and they know that she has had relationships in the past and they may be worried and they may not know. There may also be people out there who ask her sex advice because they want to hear.
It's a trolling moment.
Not even a trolling moment. They're just like, what the fuck do you do? Like
what the fuck?
Yeah. So, but she doesn't want to be the victim that she is. She wants to be a victim of something that she can control the narrative of. She can't control the narrative of her being overweight, because she can't control being overweight. She can control the narrative of assaults or whatever, because those are things that she can make up the story, right?
And it's hard to fucking find out if it was true or not, because
nobody,
nobody knows.
And she's not popular enough for people to really dive, like people that are really gonna dive in deep and get all of this.
I mean, the only one that's did deep dives on it would be Mr. Snowflake, and he's only
to dox anybody.
No, so, he's only looking at stuff that she's posted in the past on social media and putting it against what she's claiming now, which are two different stories.
What I'm saying is, like, when you think of people like Chris Chan, right? People who literally call his fucking mother or his dad or like people in his life. People aren't doing that to Amberlynn. They aren't finding out like her family and doxing them and getting them out of the internet. She's not like
she's done that herself.
Right, but I'm saying there isn't that like insane group of people.
I mean, there probably is.
Right, but I'm saying, but there's not enough of them to gang up together and work together on something weird like this. So, maybe, but for the most, I mean, at least it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
Because, all the shit she said about her dad. I mean, if this was Chris Chan, and I only say him because he's one of the few, like, kind of like locals or whatever that I know a good amount about. I mean, the things she said about her dad, if this was Chris Chan, people would have literally, like, found out the father's number and called him and like asked him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And no one's done that to her dad. So I don't even remember what I was getting on this fact for, but she is just going to make up stories that she can control the narrative of. That's kind of what I was saying. And no one's really going to question it, and no one's really going to find out the truth. The only thing we know is her weight problems, and that's something that she's embarrassed by. I mean, we've talked about it with the diabetes. She's embarrassed to admit. I mean, she's like so embarrassed to like talk about diabetes, like having it or like being almost having it. She's so proud that she doesn't have it. And it's like, look, that is not like, you are 500 something pounds. Who cares if you have diabetes or not? You're 500 fucking pounds.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Diabetes or not, that's the problem. Congratulations, you don't have diabetes. Bad news. You're still 500 pounds.
Yeah.
You're still overeating, and you're still, never going to get smaller. So, congratulations, you don't have diabetes. Go have a pizza.
And, like, she has this delusion. Like, she always has discussed in the past even, and here more recently, the type of content she likes to watch. And I guess it still hasn't occurred to her that the content she watches isn't the content that she puts out. She thinks it's similar because she feels like they never leave their homes and they just sit and talk about the same things that she does. But that's where it gets delusional, because Remy Cruz, Sarah Ray Vargas, and Alex Rodriguez, those plus-size influencers that she's so hung up on being just like, her own content is far from it. And it shows almost no personality in contrast to those creators. It's strictly Amber talking to herself and cutting the clips down from her rambling, which she does almost no editing, so there's no skill involved. Amber's content is even less involved than Tammy Lemon's, and that is someone who she has claimed that the content's boring, even though it's similar to her own. Now, this is through her own words. She has claimed that it's similar to her own. They have almost the same content, but she finds that content boring. And of course, she follows Life Plus Cindy, which I just researched before, like Thursday. I think I decided to research her because I saw that she had mentioned her, and people were mentioning her a lot in the reaction circuit. And seems pretty similar to Amber in terms of monetizing their mental illness and gaslighting people for calling them out in their respective communities. I mean, she probably veers more towards Chantal, but there's some things that she does share in correlation with Amber.
Right.
They both weaponize their mental illness and use it as a crutch to manipulate their audience. Her vlog before the more recent one was super uninformative as well. The content was just pretty dry. Like, the video was just long enough to hit the markers for her to place ads and update everyone with very vague outlines of upcoming content for her channel. She had a P.O. box unboxing that what was kind of funny because they gave her like earrings,
Mm-hmm.
and the earrings were like of toilet paper, eggs, some other like random shit. And I was waiting to see a potato because they threw the toilet paper in there, honestly. But it was obviously like taking the piss out of Amber, and it went right over her head. She just thought they were cute. And I was just sitting there thinking, like, I can't believe she's showing this and having no issue with this. And she shared a weight update, and she had gained through her 2-week binge. I'm sorry, it was a 2-week period where she ate her feelings. It's not a binge, people, because she doesn't binge anymore. And it was all due to the whole Destiny and her kind of live streaming back and forth, making, like, talking about each other.
Right.
She claimed that she's no longer going to discuss about her exes on YouTube and how she's completely over anything to do with Destiny. She's completed the last visit on her therapy sessions that were supposed to be done before reevaluating her for surgery. So this was her 12th visit to the therapist. And then she went ahead and made sure to note that she preemptively scheduled her next appointment, as this will be something she says that she plans on continuing.
So the therapy was just mandated for this? She doesn't actually go to therapy, or she does go to therapy?
Before this, she was seeing a different therapist.
Right.
She claimed to be seeing a different therapist.
Right.
But now, with this new therapist, she's miraculously turned a new leaf and now is no longer a binge eater and knows how to cope with things. And
I mean, I do know that, and I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt. I do know that, sometimes you have to find the right therapist. I don't think that any therapist could cure binge eating in 2 weeks, but maybe this is someone that she gels with more and feels more comfortable with. And if so, that's great. I have no problem with that. I have no,
Yeah, but the thing that got me was, like, she's claiming, like, she's so much better. She knows how to cope with things more. Yet we got, like, 2 weeks of her back to binge eating and eating out.
I know.
To deal with her emotions.
But, and I always like prefacing this that I am not a watcher of either of these two. So, while you have all the information, you give me the information, I do not know these people on any sort of level that even people listening to this podcast would know. So I'm trying, I sometimes I try to give them the benefit of the doubt, even though I've learned a lot that Amber really is someone that you don't want to give the benefit of the doubt. But maybe this therapist is someone that she feels like, do I think she was cured? No. It allows her to lie like she does on YouTube because, it's the second nature where she's almost talking to herself.
Yeah.
I think if she was in front of an audience or talking to, I don't know if she ever does, like, those, like, collaborations with people who
No, she's never collabed with anybody. She won't, she said, because she's got too much anxiety around it.
Right. No,
which
what she does have is an inability to fight someone on the truth.
Yeah, she has no ability to accept criticism of things that she does, especially in a live situation. I think she would just fucking shut down.
No, she would just choke.
I think she would just shut down. I've seen Chantal do it. When Chantal had to be dealt with, like, somebody coming at her for shit she was saying or doing, Chantal just shut down. She started crying, and then she just left the panel. And
I'd get on my phone if I start losing.
But that also brings me to the fact that
fucking chair. I'm sorry.
It also brings me back to the fact that, like, Amber was talking about Pearl being on H3 podcast and how she just didn't like the fact that Pearl was just saying things and not actually believing what she was saying, like believing women shouldn't be able to vote and all that. And I'm just like, you literally do the same things. Like,
no, I mean, that's hypocrites in a nutshell, right?
Yeah.
Like,
But anyhow, I honestly don't believe Amber will have weight loss surgery this year.
Nope, ever. I'm
think
saying ever still.
If she was truthful about telling her bariatric team about her setback with her coping mechanism of overeating while under stress, I believe they will see this as a warning sign of further therapy that's needed, as this wasn't even a big hill to be hung up on. A little embarrassing, yes, but nothing Amber hasn't told us already about herself. We all knew her hygiene wasn't always in the best and was always in question. We know that, she sleeps in her makeup often. She constantly gets cellulitis and UTIs.
Yep.
She claims to hold her bowels a lot. Like, went months without showering on 2 different occasions. I guess years without showering.
Oh my God.
That she's told us of. Now, this is just what she's told us of. We don't know her shower situation now. She's been in denial about anything being wrong and forgoing feminine checkups due to her own body shame. She sat in a constant run of shed uterine lining and ruining pants, sheets, and mattresses for years. She shit her own pants while choking. I mean, honestly, the list could go on. And I mean, it's not even funny. It's just sad. But she's had a lengthy YouTube run and, like, a lot of embarrassing shit has happened. Do you think your ex telling the internet, just confirming everything that we already kind of knew in the back? Like, yeah, you probably fucking stunk. You didn't shower. You probably fucking stunk because you had feminine problems that you weren't addressing for years. And goddamn, if that girl doesn't slow down her eating. The latest vlog, Jade made her a little, like, Chinese takeaway bowl moment of her favorites. It had rice and, little snips of chicken and steamed broccoli. And Jade was smart enough to cut up the chicken really fine for Amber so she wouldn't choke on it when she's fucking shoveling that shit into her mouth as fast as she could. But that broccoli she left uncut, and Amber's hungered state, she left them in, like, fucking choking hazard portions. Jade, like, gave it to her because Amber was probably like, I'm fucking hungry.
Yeah.
Not even stopping after each bite to chew and swallow the fucking shit. Just loading up the fork with another bite as soon as she shoveled the first load into her mouth. I guess the working on slower eating and starting eating on camera, making her more mindful of how quickly she's eating, has kind of went out the window. And that girl was fucking hungry. Like, fucking hungry. It almost reminded... What was that fucking part in that movie where they're like, don't look at me?
Yeah.
Don't look at me. While they're fucking like, scoffing food. And, for a moment I thought she may break the damn plastic fork. She was eating with a fucking plastic fork. And she eats food like an addict, feverishly trying to find the good spot to release those good feelings, Like, how are we allowed to watch her without an age restriction due to her content showing an addict, like, using? Like, this is an addict using. I get that she needs food to survive, but a food addict shouldn't be using their addiction for monetary gain. As a whole, her audience should not have to feel like they are supporting her addiction while trying to be supportive of her. Because the feeder content, her eating content, while she ums and ahs and so goods over the food while not taking the time to, like, I don't know, process and properly chew the fucking food.
Yeah.
It's just kind of shocking and eye-opening. I mean, I guess not shocking coming from Amber, but as she repeated in the past that these are the videos that do well for her, so she gets that inflated paycheck to make the hate she receives kind of worth it in a sense.
Right.
The mukbangs and eating food and body checking in the form of her try-on hauls and full body thumbnails, they keep her in a lifestyle she's accustomed to, and she just keeps baiting them hooks like Troll Queen Baby Lynn. Unless you have anything else to say, Lee, I think that's going to be all.
No, I think we got a good podcast in there. I tried to keep it a little, rein myself in a little bit, but yeah.
But I hope everyone enjoys their weekend. And for those that celebrate it, happy Father's Day. Thanks for listening, and we will see you guys next weekend.
Hey, we don't talk about no taters around these parts. Them fat shaming words. Your fat phobia is showing.
God damn it, Tater. I wish I knew how to quit you.
We had a good time, didn't we?
Ugh.
Bye.